My dear friends, religion can be and often is the most complicated consideration in all of life. And surely that does not surprise us. After all, religion deals with some thorny ideas and issues. The question of God. Who is he? What is he like? Is he involved in our lives? What does he expect of us? The question of ethics. What is right and what is wrong and why? The question of our origin and destiny. Why are we here on this planet? Where are we going? Yet, we often, I don't know about you, but I often, not often, but at least sometimes, and I think I speak for most people, you kind of grow weary of the complexity. We are not philosophers or theologians. Our primary problem is not knowing the answers to everything in life, but rather living life and doing it productively. Our challenge is not explaining evil and suffering, but rather overcoming them, rising above them, living happily in the face of them. Let me tell you what I mean by that. There was a story of an old sailor on the coast of Maine, and there was a young boy there who was fascinated with the idea of sailing. And he got into a conversation with the sailor, a boy maybe, I'm going to say 10 years old. And he had a lot of questions about the wind. He said, what exactly is the wind, and how can you predict how strong the wind is going to be, and how can you know what direction the wind is going to come from, and how does the wind change direction so quickly? And after a while, the old sailor summed it up like this. He said, son, I don't know much about the wind, but I do know how to sail. See what I'm saying there? That's our supreme need, is not to be able to answer all of the questions about God and about life, but to relate to God in such a way that we experience his presence and his power in our lives. You notice in this gospel passage, Jesus cuts through all that complexity with his question to Peter, do you love me? So fundamental and so basic is that question that he repeats it 3 times. That was all he wanted to know, do you love me? But it's important for us to know that when Jesus is answering that question, he's not inquiring about how we feel at that moment. It's much, much deeper than a feeling. In the New Testament, love, there was another difference between the language of the Bible and the language that we commonly use. And our common way of speaking, when we're talking about love, almost always people are talking about how you feel, and it's never that way in the Bible. Never in the Bible. Love is never about what you are feeling. It's about what you are committed to and what you are doing. I have thought about that. It's kind of like this. When your wife says to you, do you love me? She wants to know, do you love me more than these? That's what Jesus is asking. Do you love me more than these? Your wife, when she says, do you love me, she's saying, are you committed to me first, more than these other things? More than your golf, more than your poker, more than your beer, more than your buddies, that's what she's saying. Am I number one? Are you committed to me? Now notice what when Peter says 3 times, yes, Lord, I love you. And by the way, I think you see why Jesus has to ask him 3 times. John makes a point of saying all this took place around a charcoal fire. Now, why does he say that? He wants you to think, Where did I see the charcoal fire before? Oh, Holy Thursday. Yeah, in the courtyard. Peter is warming himself, and 3 times he denies Jesus. And Jesus, in his goodness and his wisdom, now gives him 3 opportunities to undo his 3-fold denial. But now notice what he says. It's not about how you feel. It's what you're committed to, and you show what you're committed to by what you do. Because Jesus is saying, okay, if you love me, then feed my sheep. If you love me, then turn your gaze away from me and look to the poor, look to the hungry, look to the illiterate, look to the grieving, those who have and those who have not, and those who need what you are able to give them. If you love me, show that by what you do. Not about how you feel. It's what you're committed to and what you do. That's the good news. On this 3rd Sunday of Easter, Jesus is asking you, do you love me? May this Eucharist that we celebrate enable us to say yes, and then to go forth and take care of his